Welcome to B-Dubs. We're going to be getting a little bit into the NBA Finals, which starts tonight. I know we're going to get in a little bit into the NHL, which started yesterday. Very interesting game. And we're going to get into some coaches that were hired for the Chicago Bulls and the Pelicans and give our opinions about that. Starting off, let's go with the NBA Finals. So we have the Warriors versus the Cavs. We have the face of the league, LeBron James, versus potentially the new face that might be of the NBA, Stephen Curry. What do you think of these matchups that we have?
It's definitely the best player in the league, I feel, versus a different type of system we're getting now, because I think more teams are getting to the thing that it's kind of like in the NFL, I put an equivalent to, where like the running back position is kind of getting slowly but surely obsolete now, as would due to like passing games and quarterbacks and stuff. You know, you see teams use like very rarely you'll find the like a Seattle Seahawks team. Like you'll find guys like the Patriots. They won a Super Bowl and they had like 3-4 running backs manning the thing. That's the way the league's kind of going into now. Like now in the league, if you have a franchise quarterback, it's two teams. Either you have a quarterback or you don't have a quarterback. That's how I feel how the NFL is going right now. Like with these passing, which I feel now with the NBA, it's kind of going that way too. With it's guard heavy teams, like you see like Klay Thompson and like Steph Curry, or you see these like it's unfortunate enough like that you see the center position's kind of getting devalued now because you see these teams going more guard centric and stuff. Like I said, you have Klay Thompson, you have Steph Curry, or you can even like go to like James Harden, like you can go for that list, or even look at the Phoenix Suns where you had those three guards, they're gone, like or you know, you had the two guards with Dragic and Bledsoe, though Dragic's gone. You have like Damian Lillard. Who else is going for that mold too? Like even to a lesser extent, you have a heavy team like John Wall, like Beal, even the Atlanta Hawks won like 60 games due to like just Jeff like Teague shooting and into shooting stuff like that, and like Kyle Korver's hot hand and stuff. Like I feel that's where like the NBA is kind of gearing towards right now. That's what I feel represents now. It's like the old guard, kind of like, you know, LeBron James, been there a decade plus, and you got this new guard. Like, can you win without like a dominant like front court? Can you win with these perimeter guys, like, you know, like shooting it and stuff? It's interesting. It's interesting how the NBA is going.
Me and Mike, former colleague of the show, had a conversation about the guard play, seeing how, basically echoing what you said, it's like the new thing that's happening right now. Could you name, what was the last like great point guard to win a championship?
Magic Johnson.
I said Jason Kidd, but he was in his later years or whatever. Yeah. But because like having, with all these great point guards that we've been turning to, not like one of them has a championship yet. So it's like, but like there's a new turnaround because we actually do have two pretty damn good ones. Actually, a great one in Steph Curry, and also an up and coming, or if not already great, Kyrie Irving. But he's kind of hilted, or he's kind of injured right now. But like, so at least one will actually win this year. So I know like the guard oriented thing, like we have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, we have Kyrie Irving, although LeBron James, he's not necessarily a guard, but
I can give you one last great point guard to win one, like not a Jason Kidd in his prime. This is debatable. It depends on how you feel about the person. Rajon Rondo. It depends on how you feel about him.
He was great at that time.
I'm just saying it depends on how you feel about him.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
It depends
I thought you were going to say Chauncey Billups.
No, oh God, no.
I was almost say don't shoot.
It depends on like, it depends on what day you feel highly ranked. That's because like the last great one I could think, Magic.
Yeah, because like Magic and Kidd were the only ones that came to mind when he said like a great point guard, because you know obviously Jason Kidd was great, but like he was playing at an age like, when was he?
Because I'm thinking about it too. It's like you look at even in the NBA playoffs. I mean, who's the best center like in those like you can make an argument like Marc Gasol, or like
who's the best center this year?
Oh no, not the best center this year. I mean in the playoffs. I'm thinking about like the center position slowly. Like Marc Gasol was probably the best center in like the whole playoffs. And if you think about, look at the Eastern Conference. I mean, who can you argue is the best center on any of those teams? Like Al
Horford.
Horford.
That's the only. That's the one person that came to mind was Al Horford.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
it's like it's crazy.
I mean, it used to be Joakim Noah because at one point he was an MVP candidate. Yeah. Was it last year, I believe? But he got injured too. It's sad when you have to like qualify things by injury because one year he's like Joakim Noah was like what top 5, top 4 or whatever for MVP consideration, and then now it's like he got injured and he's just another player. But I would definitely say Marc Gasol and Al Horford, but that's about all I can think of. Not much.
So now I'm gonna propose a thing to you. Like, do you think I'm playing this as like an interesting point of view? Do you think it'd be sort of a bad thing if like the Golden State Warriors won the NBA title? Because do you feel like this would set the NBA in a kind of this random precedent where it's like now teams are gonna look, well, they won it with guards. Hell, why not we do that same formula too? Do you feel like it might ruin, like, kind of like, not ruin the NBA, but...
I don't think this will leave an effect of... Well, it's kind of almost already... It's not ruining, because, like, you already have, like, your guard... Because, like, I think it's, like you said earlier, it's already been there. You've named John Wall and Bradley Beal, you've named Jeff Teague and Kyle Korver, the Splash Brothers, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson. The league is kind of there already, so I don't think it'll ruin it per se. But like, I think it's too, because I think people are still trying to catch up to what the Spurs are doing. That's what the Hawks are doing, seeing how they're spreading their coaches around the Spurs. Because like, it would be hard to duplicate. Like, you won't find another guard like Stephen Curry to pair up with another Klay Thompson. I think that Jeff Teague is not Stephen Curry, but I mean, you could say Kyle Korver is like a la Klay Thompson, but not everybody can do what Klay Thompson's been doing apparently. But like, I don't know. Klay Thompson's actually able to take the ball to the hole now, which is another part of his game. So like, he's bettered himself. He's not just one diverse scorer. So it would be hard to duplicate, I think.
The closest thing I could think of to like a Curry Thompson is like a Bradley Beal, John Wall. That's like the closest.
That's about it.
But it's funny how like it's on the opposite sides where it's like I'm kind of like when you talk about the running back position in the NBA, I kind of disagree with you on that. With like that's how the game's like shifting. Where it's like it's funny how now I'm looking at you from the opposite side where it's like I don't like the way the NBA is going. This is my old man get off my lawn moment where it's like
you rather be a bunch of big men.
I miss the days where there were guys like Tim Duncan in his prime, or guys like friggin' Hakeem Olajuwon just like destroying guys in the playoffs, or like even like the Patrick Ewings.
Wouldn't you have to blame college for that though?
Yeah,
because like the last
Anthony Davis
is the only one. I mean, like with Tim Duncan, at least there was guys like Patrick Ewing and David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon. Like, even though they were from different, I think a lot of the big men are coming from different countries, and like Marc Gasol and Paul Gasol were like, and Dirk Nowitzki, but to a more extent, those two, the Gasols.
Yeah, because Nowitzki played more like a guard than like it's weird. He had a different skill set.
Yeah, he started doing posts up like a lot later in his career, but like focusing on those two though. Those are probably actually cousins. I gotta give them cousins. Absolutely, DeMarcus Cousins. So like, I just think like you just need a bevy of big men for it to go back to that. It's just that I don't think the college level or that much for the European group or whatever. They're not producing enough of those kind of guys.
Because I miss those guys. I miss those days.
Because what we're producing is stretch fours or whatever. You got the rookie with, like the Bulls have, Mirotic, stretch 4, definitely. Or he plays the 3 sometimes. But, you're getting like, that's like a new requirement for guys to be able to shoot outside a little bit.
Because I miss the guys like Shaq that just puts up 30 and 25 or just totally take over games. I don't know. Or even like Dwight Howard in his prime when he used to do stuff like that. Guys like KG and stuff. So it's like I can see where it comes from like that.
Because when you look at it, like where the guys with those big men, the only ones that have made it is Marc Gasol and Paul Gasol. and that's why I brought their names up. They're the only ones that were really in the playoffs. DeMarcus Cousins isn't in the playoffs.
No.
He couldn't bring his team to.
Well, Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis made it.
Yeah,
but he's like he shoots outside too.
But the DeMarcus Cousins, that's another story for another time. That whole franchise is dysfunctional in its own right.
That's true. That's true. But getting more so to the playoffs, it's going to be a test between because you have Mozgov and Tristan Thompson, and it's different because Kevin Love is more of I think you know what. I think a lot too much has been put on Kevin Love for like not being like one of those, because like when he was on Minnesota, he was on the block.
Yeah,
I remember him being like, he was shooting threes, but like I remember like the few times they were on the NBA TV or whatever.
Yeah.
But like he was in the post a lot more. But like now he's in a new role, being the third wheel or whatever, and he's not getting those kinds of touches or anything like that. And I think it's like a kind of like not a good situation for him. Period. For me. In my eyes,
I think he should be gone.
I don't think he should stay there, to be honest with you, because like
they played better when he wasn't there. That's the way I feel about
plus,
it.
Plus, I'm like if he comes back, I'm like, you might have to be the sixth man, buddy.
Yeah,
I mean, like Tristan Thompson has been playing like very well, and he's going to be looking to get paid too.
Oh, he's great. I mean, he's finally came on with that. I feel he's filled his role really well. I feel Kyrie's actually, playing off of LeBron really well.
Yeah.
Then you got the acquisitions like J.R. Smith,
Iman Shumpert.
Yeah, so that's still dumb how they did that. And even Timothy Mozgov, they add,
that was a great addition.
Yeah, they're getting a body in the paint for that. So
he deserves a lot of credit too.
So
did you know Tristan Thompson is left-handed?
Really?
He was such a bad shooter that like I don't know. I read that somebody suggested that he tried with his other hand, and apparently he was better off shooting like playing with his other hand than.
See, if I was an NBA GM, I would make a team full of nothing but left-handed people, because people who guard, they always assume you're guarding with the right hand. You're a right hand, a righty. So if somebody sees they're a lefty, like, oh shit.
Yeah, absolutely. But going on the other side, you have I think. Cleveland's like with the people that they've received with Mozgov, with Shumpert, with J.R. Smith, that kind of helped solidify their team a bit. But is that enough? Like, do you think that's a better team than what the Warriors have?
Oh, I was just about to ask that question. Here's my question to you: do you think? My thing is, I'm like going through the scenarios. I'm going through all this stuff in my head, and I'm like, I can't see like the Cavs bring it to any more than like 5 games. Like, can you see
gentleman's sweep?
I'm sitting there and I'm like, LeBron's great. He's obviously the best player in the league, but I mean, the best team in the league has been the Golden State Warriors.
Did you hear his statement between him and about Curry?
No.
They asked him how do you stop Stephen Curry, and he answered basically, it's the same way you stop me. You can't. I was like, damn.
Because my thing is, I can't see anything than like the Golden State not winning in 5 games. They've been, LeBron's the best player in the league, but this is the best team in the league. This team they just took the ball and they ran with it the whole entire season. I mean, Steph Curry, he deserved the MVP. He played out of his mind. Klay Thompson picked up his game, and like you said, he's shown some low post moves and whatnot too. And Steph Curry's just been like, the only way I can describe it is retarded in this playoffs. That's like, there's no way to like just.
You can't quantify.
Yeah, he's retarded. That's the way he's playing, and retarded in a good way. Like, I just can't see them not like winning this year. This is their year.
I also have to give credit to another former colleague, Dan. He, because you remember, he always mentioned Stephen Curry about, even when he was drafted, this, that, and the third, and we kind of shunned him off a little bit about it, and like.
Well, because my thing is like, how is his ankles going to hold up in the pros?
That's what me, you, and Mike were saying. Like, those ankles, man. Like,
because he had ankle problems in college, so it's like, how is he going to handle
wasn't
that?
It when he got into the league? Wasn't it like 2 or 3 years of ankle problems or something like that?
Yeah, because my thing is like, I don't know if he can bulk up to actually handle the wear and tear of an 82-game regular season.
So then, now he gets healthy. His game's developed. He's playing defense. He's a good passer, even though we talk more about him being a shooter. He's a very good passer as well. it's like
he's gotten better on defense.
He's got a lot better in a multitude of different things. He's actually a pretty good rebounder too,
Yeah.
if that makes much sense. But it's like it seems like there's not much he cannot do now. Even like given his size, it's ridiculous. So like he's an amazing player. I've become a huge fan of Stephen Curry. Just watching his games, they're like the funnest team to watch. But like they also need to. I think people need to recognize that their defense is also a part of it. Because like when we compare to like teams like this, we think run and gun, and like you know playoff slowdown and things of that matter. Usually run and gun teams aren't good at defense, a la Phoenix Suns, a la Sacramento Kings.
Even those Dallas Maverick teams in the early 2000s.
Yeah, Dallas Maverick teams. But this team, it does that and more. It plays defense and, like, giving credit to Draymond Green, Andrew Bogut, who hasn't been injured lately. So that's a part of the reason why their defense has also been good. So,
and what's his face has been good in his role too. Was it Harrison
Barnes?
Yeah, exactly. Because
Barnes.
this was a guy who wanted out last year with Jackson. Like they were not seeing eye to eye, and I want to get to this too, which is a good segue to coaching. Like Kerr's put him in great situations, and really like he's blossomed into his own, like being an effective player.
Yeah.
And my thing to you is, I believe
Two rookie coaches.
Yeah, I believe this is the first time in NBA history. And should we give these guys a lot more credit, like Blott, and especially like I'd give Blott credit, but especially to a degree, Kerr, because it's two things are going through my mind when I think of this. I'm like, wow, he really is a great coach to jump this, and like to. You know, he took a really good team and made it an elite team. And my thing was, too, man, I feel bad for Jackson. Was he really holding them back that, like, here comes Kerr. He took this team that was already pretty good under Jackson and just made it, like a different level, like, you know?
For the most part of what I've seen is, like, okay, Jackson built the team.
Yeah.
And then Steve Kerr just took it to another level. Yeah, that's how I usually.
Because I was figuring as Jackson, maybe he's the guy who's good enough to get you to a certain point, but maybe he's not that guy to get you to a championship. Whereas like Steve Kerr maybe is that guy
that brought them to that level.
Level. And like Blott, I mean, he's done a great job. Granted, you have the best player in the league, like in LeBron, and he came. You know,
but like when I think about it, he got looked upon, like down upon actually, because like a lot of people were talking about, is he gonna last throughout the season?
That's right, because I heard those things that him and LeBron weren't seeing eye to eye.
I'm like, I don't think a lot of people appreciated his situation. Like he wasn't even expected to come. He expected to be a rebuild coach or whatever. He didn't know he was going to get LeBron James. I don't think he knew he was going to get Kevin Love. They didn't know if they were keeping Kyrie Irving for that matter until they actually signed his name to the dotted line or whatever.
You're right, because this was a team that went from, all right, this is a rebuilding team, to, all right, you have a championship team now. And this is a team who I thought was going to make at least the Eastern Conference Finals. I didn't think they were going to go to the finals in the first year with everything gelling, and that surprised me.
Because, like, and it's basically like, yeah, here you go, like you said, here's a championship team, go win it. But then, not only that, then mid, like, I don't know if it was mid-season, it might have been a little bit prior towards mid-season, they get the trade for when they had the injury to Villarreal, they had to get another big guy, so then they went out and got they got Mozgov, and they also got Shumpert, and they got J.R. Smith. So you got like this whole other parts that's supposed to be implemented into your system that you're trying to establish. And
this wasn't like at the beginning of the season there were like 2 or 3 games over 500, and they had like a players only like meeting and all that stuff, and like you said, everyone's like, is Block gonna go? Is he gonna in like LeBron? I think even came out and said, I don't know if he's like right with the coaching system. Yeah, the coaching, and they just rallied. I mean, he's done a good job. He, like you said, he righted the ship, and you know, he did a very good job filling that what the hell's his name from Miami? Eric Spoelstra role. So
Eric Spoelstra, yeah. And I think if they had that team, and if Chris Bosh was healthy, they would have been a big threat to either team, like the Bulls or the Cavs too. But like I guess that's hope if Gordon stays, which I think he might. That would be something to look forward to next year. But sticking to coaches.
Well, here's my thing. Finals. Who do you think is gonna? My thing is Golden State in 5 games. I just can't.
5 games, so...
Yeah, pretty much saying it's going to be a lousy NBA Finals. Sorry, Cav fans, but I think you're a year too soon.
Damn. This is a lot. I'm gonna say 6.
Oh, all right.
I'm gonna say 6.
Warriors?
Warriors in 6.
And we'll speak about those ankle problems if he gets them next year with the curse of LeBron.
No, I know, right? Oh man, but since we're getting off of that, let's stick with the coaches area. So there are 2 new hires. If anyone hasn't heard, there's been 2 new hires for the Pelicans, and there's also been a hire for the Chicago Bulls. For the Pelicans, there has been a hire for Al Gentry as their new head coach, and for the Bulls, it is Fred Hoiberg from Iowa State.
Yes.
From Iowa State, from the college basketball. You seem to be in favor for this hire for the Bulls. Any reason why?
I like one and I hate the other, but I'll get to that in a thing. I like the Hoiberg. I mean, why not? I believe he's 42 years old. He's coached 5 years. He brought them to 4 NCAA tournament appearances, 1 Sweet 16, I think, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think it's good. He's had everybody loves him. He was a former Bulls player. I think
yeah, he was.
Paxton loves them and stuff. And I mean, this is a trend.
That seems to be a theme with the Bulls hiring somebody who's...
This is a trend that I want to write down in the blog, how it seems like the NBA is going to these college coaches now. You see it. I mean, like, look at the recent example. Like, Brad Stevens so far has had he's done a really good job with the Boston Celtics so far in his 2 years. You know, he took a team who I thought was going to be a lottery team and brought it to the playoffs this year. Then you look at other former college coaches like Quinn Snyder did a decent job with the Utah Jazz. They won 38 games. That's about 38 more than I thought they were going to win. So then you had guys like Billy Donovan. He took the job over in OKC. Yep. There was big rumors about what's his face going. Coach Cal is he going to the Pelicans job or something like that to coach up Anthony Davis? It seems like this is the hot.
I think
trend
that's
now.
over now. If Coach Cal doesn't go out to coach that team, he's never going to go.
So this is the thing. This is the thing now, and I think they did good. He did. I mean, I always thought Iowa State's never the best like situation to get recruits, because who's going to want to go to Ames, Iowa? And I thought he did a great job, like 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances, 1 Sweet 16, especially with that talent. And he ran an NBA style offense, so I really enjoy it. Okay. I like the hire. I think it'd be good. I mean, you can't screw it up, I feel the way, because you got a 50-win team in a weaker conference. This isn't like you're taking over the Pelicans in like the Western Conference. This is the Eastern Conference. I mean, say what you want to say. Yes, you're going to have the Cavaliers. You're going to have the Wizards. Milwaukee's going to be on the way up, but it's probably a safe bet to say that Atlanta's probably not going to win 60 games again next year. So like you got like 4 or 5 teams you might talk to yourself, like the Raptors are, like how they look like. You know, we raved about them earlier in the season, but they fell off like as the second half comes. So there's a couple of question marks about them. I mean, it's a good situation. I mean, you know, you can't screw it up.
Now that you said that, it kind of makes more sense now that you said that, because when you think about how the league, like we were talking about a little earlier, is that it's going towards a more guard-oriented like NBA. It makes sense to go towards the college coaches who have seem to be more focused on developing the guards. And if it goes like small ball, I guess it's a new trend for the NBA to go in that direction. And I'm more of a wait and see type of guy. Obviously, the Bulls are my team, so I'm very skeptical about it. I kind of wanted more of I wouldn't mind having an Al Gentry myself, even though he's with the Pelicans, because, you know, he's offensive-minded and he still thinks about defense at the same time. But then again, having a fresh coach or a fresh new coach or something like that, he might have more of a guard-oriented base, like, which would help Derrick Rose, might help Jimmy Butler, even though Jimmy Butler's improved immensely. So it could be a good thing. But, you know, obviously I would be skeptical about it, but I'm going to wait and see and hope that it's a good hire. So... Alvin Gentry with the Pelicans.
I hate that hire.
Why?
You fire Monty Williams, who was a mediocre coach in my opinion, and you replace Monty Williams with Monty Williams.
Really?
I'm not a fan of Alvin Gentry. My thing is, you had Van Gundy. He floated that out there himself. He was interested in that job because he wanted to coach like Anthony Davis. You got a guy like Van Gundy, like Jeff Van Gundy, and you're like, no, we want Alvin Gentry. I'm like, why?
Well, Jeff Van Gundy's been out of the league for a very long time, though. I mean,
yeah, it's
well, it would because like this goes towards more of what you were saying. Like Al Gentry, he's not average. I think he's better than Monty Williams. He's been in the Western Conference and he's had a winning record for crying out. Well, they're both in the Western Conference, but like he's been in the playoffs a lot more than obviously Monty Williams. But it's just
he's had a career below 500 record. Alvin Gentry.
Yeah, what?
Below 500 record career as a coach.
Below 500?
Yeah.
The Suns were over 500 more than once.
Yeah, but like overall coaching record,
I don't know where he coached before Phoenix. So.
It's like
where was he a head coach?
Milwaukee, Detroit. There's a couple other random like things over there.
You said Milwaukee and Detroit. That's all I needed to hear. But but like given like it's Milwaukee and Detroit, so I can understand why it would be below 500. But like obviously given with good players. In a good team, he can make the playoffs. That much is proven.
That thing, I just feel like you're wasting Anthony Davis's good prime years with another coach. I don't know. You could have. There's a couple of things out there, and like you said with Coach Cal, if he wasn't going to take that job, he wasn't going to take anything. Because I was texting a cousin. I was like, if Coach Cal's going to go to the NBA, he's going to take. This is the team he would take from, because with Anthony Davis, his former Kentucky player and stuff like that. And I thought
it's the most perfect situation for him.
Like Mike told me, I want Jeff Van Gundy to go there. That's my favorite hire. I'm like, my favorite hire would that be was Coach Cal, and he goes. And he's like, why Coach Cal? I'm like, because I want to see what he could do with Anthony Davis in the pros. That'd be my most intriguing hire. So he didn't get that. They didn't get Van Gundy. And I don't know. I'm not high on the hire right now. And plus, I feel that team needs to shake some things up because they got a couple of people on that roster who underperformed.
For me, like Jeff Van Gundy, I like Jeff Van Gundy. I like him as a coach. I like him as an analyst. He did great with New York. He did great with Houston. And that kind of fits into the mold of what he would have. He would have a big guy and, other guys around that big guy to work around with. So, that probably makes more sense to have Jeff Van Gundy. But, I didn't think he was going to go. You said he was going to do it.
He said his agent, he's really interested in the job because he said, like, you can't have an opportunity to pass up coaching up Anthony Davis.
So, like,
here's
there has to be something. Because, like, I would want to hear from Jeff Van Gundy. Like, was he full on in with whatever?
This was
like, remember Monty Williams got fired because the GM.
That's what I was going to ask you too.
Because
like, my thing is, do you think Van Gundy was interested? But he goes, if I want to coach, I want to run the team. And the GM's like, I don't know about that.
That's
good.
What
I was about to say that
because,
too.
Because I was like, if my brother can get that shit, I can get that.
Yeah.
So I figure if Jeff Van Gundy wanted the power, which most likely, because it's Jeff Van Gundy.
Yeah.
And I think they're like, okay, we can't go that direction. I'm like...
You stole the words from my mouth. I was about to throw that out there. Because I think that's might have what happened, too. If he was, like, really interested, as the reports and his agent was saying, and something just happened, like, how the hell you go from him being really interested to we're signing Alvin Gentry. And I'm like, what?
It doesn't happen just like that.
Yeah, so I think I think he wanted, like, control, like, front office or whatnot to say, and the GM's like, I'm not committing to that.
So if given that situation outside of Al Gentry and Jeff Van Gundy and the other Coach Cal, who would you, because, like, I don't know, would you get another college coach, or would you...
They could have waited, and Tom Thibodeau would have fell in their lap.
That's true.
They could
actually, I think the Bulls were holding on to him until like that position was filled. So
because
I don't know
the wonders he did with Joakim Noah, I would have legit creamed my pants with him and Anthony Davis.
Because okay.
That's why I said like they could have waited, and like Tibbs would have been like, hey, I'm like, oh hi, because I said like the real winner in all this is Tom Thibodeau, because I feel like he can sit out for a year if he wants to, and he get any job he wants next year.
Yeah, be good. All right, so we got through the finals, we got through coaches, and what's the last one?
NHL Finals.
Yes.
So my quick recap while on the Stanley Cup Finals.
Stanley Cup, yeah.
I felt bad for the poor Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, like, it's weird because I think this is the...
I blame them for that loss, man.
felt
they should have been... They were playing not to lose. I don't like that.
They're better off as the road team. You know what's funny? Their goalie, Ben Bishop, he's a way better road goalie on the playoffs than he is at home. I think he has, like, an all right record at home in the playoffs, but he's amazing on the road in the playoffs. And I felt bad because they have the home ice advantage. Their Game 7 is going to be at Tampa, and I feel bad for them saying, I'm like, you know what? I went to my fiance last night watching the game. I'm like, is it sad to say that I think Tampa would have been better off as the road team in the playoffs than the...
Because, like, it seemed like they gave away the game to me because it seemed like they were playing not to win.
Oh, they're playing Marty ball.
So I was like, why stop? Like, be aggressive. Like Chicago, as each period went on, I think it started like through this mid-second, going into the third. Like they were way more aggressive. Like it's like you can't stop playing prevent or whatever they were doing.
That's what they're playing Marty ball, like in football. Like that's how Marty Schottenheimer used to play in the playoffs. You played to lose the game, like being conservative. My thing, it's like you got guys, especially got guys like Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane on. Like you don't like play conservative Marty ball with guys like that who can score pretty much at, you know. I mean, if Chicago has anything to root for, you know, with the Cubs being and like, you know, the Bulls doing their own thing and the Bears suck. I mean,
how the White Sox?
Like the White Sox are I mean, look at the Chicago Blackhawks. It's their third Stanley Cup. I mean, they might win number 3, so but you're right. That was on them. They scored, and then they just basically is like, let's hold on to this lead. And you know that's a thing for disaster. You know, you're like, all right, if you're basically playing, as they keep saying, Marty ball, you know that team's going to come back, and you know that game plan's going to come back and bite you in the ass. I mean, look at Marty Schottenheimer in his NFL coaching career. That, like, conservative play not to lose is...
It infuriates me. I was like, this could... I mean, when they tied it up, like, they should have been... Like, because, like... Once you start playing that way, it's hard to get out of that mode. And
that's why I said as soon as Chicago, because I sat there, I'm like, if Chicago scores, this game's done because I feel they're going to win it.
They were way more aggressive even after like they scored that goal, and it just seemed like Tampa just couldn't get it. You know, they couldn't play at that level after they were doing, you know, playing that style of hockey. So it was frustrating to like see that. It was an exciting game, but like it was just like frustrating to see a team go down like that way. But, you know.
It's going to be interesting because it's a battle of inconsistent goalies.
Yeah.
Corey Crawford has been been up and down in the playoffs.
Not his best.
Same thing with Ben Bishop. Ben Bishop's the only goalie I know how Game 6, he got 7 goals against them, and then the next game in Madison Square Garden, he allows a shutout. It's like, go figure. So we'll see.
We will see. It'll be an exciting Stanley Cup Finals due to inconsistency.
One quick thing before we go. Do you agree with Tampa Bay's things? Did you hear their rules for the Stanley Cup Finals? Like, you can't purchase tickets unless you have a Florida zip code, because they don't want Chicago fans
in there.
You need a Florida zip code, and you can't have stuff like face paint or like you need appropriate.
That sounds like a turnoff, man.
Right?
No, you want adversity. It's hockey.
And my thing is like, why are you going to cut off your nose to spite your face?
Yeah.
Like, my thing, it's like, okay, so what? Okay, I understand you want as many fans, like Tampa fans, to your thing, but like,
do anything that messes up your revenue. Or
that's what I was going to say. Like, so what if
dumb.
A couple of Chicago Blackhawk fans go there? That's still you're still like putting money in your pocket.
Exactly. That's dumb.
I have too much money. I don't need any more. I'm good, guys. I'm like, all right,
I'm
cool.
good over here in my corner. But that's going to be it for SiB&W today. We'll see you guys later.